This is John Majori with Majori on Bowie, and this is the Majori on Bowie YouTube channel, where I have a new interview every week that always has something to do with David Bowie. And for daily content, visit the blog, www.majorionbowie.com, where I have something new every single day that almost always has something to do with David Bowie. And while we're here, let me just remind you to hit like and subscribe so you'll get a new video every week. Well, today I am on location in New York City at the Museum of Broadway with an incredibly special guest, Sophia Anne Caruso. This is the 10th anniversary of the debut of the play Lazarus, the David Bowie musical, and Sophia was one of the stars. She was the star in the New York production as well as the London production, and she's on the cast recording. So on the 10th anniversary, I could think of nobody better to have as a guest than Sophia.
Oh, well, that's a high compliment, the 10th anniversary.
Yeah, so Sophia is literally a star of stage and screen. We were just talking before, and everything David Bowie did, Sophia does. She acts, she sings, she writes songs, she even paints. She is a true artist. And so I'm really honored to have you join me. I should mention that after Lazarus, you went on to do plays such as Beetlejuice and Grey House.
Yes.
You were the star of the film The School for Good and Evil. And you've recorded music, including the song Toy, which I mentioned because it was produced by Henry Hay, who was the musical director for Lazarus. And he was a guest on the show earlier. Check out that video after you're done with this. It's a great discussion. So Sophia, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, I'm happy to chat. Always happy to chat Bowie.
Yeah.
Keep the legacy going.
Well, so let me start by asking you a deceptively complicated question.
Okay.
What's Lazarus about?
Well, as we were just saying, before we started this, I think that so much is open to interpretation, and I think that we search for meaning in the lyrics, and we search for meaning in these people that we admire so much and mean so much to us as artists. But I think that it's meant to be left open a little bit. I don't think that I would go and define the show or tell you what it's about. That's an interesting question. What is it about? What does it mean?
Yeah.
I think that every night that changed for me, especially in the context of before he died and then after he died, I think that what the show meant to me every night was different. There were so many, it's just like a long poem kind of, it's like every line was, took new shape and new meaning every night. There was a consistency, I think, in like the intention and like in the passion of what we were all there doing.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, every night I found new meaning in it. It was kind of this like endless, undefinable, unexplainable work of art.
Well, let's explore that a little bit. So your character is called Girl, and she has a name, but we don't learn it until near the end.
Yeah.
So sort of along the lines of what is Lazarus about, what is Girl?
What is Girl? Well, also up to you to decide, but I think that I left it kind of open. I think she's a figment of his imagination. But is she?
A figment of whose imagination?
Newton.
Yeah.
Thomas Newton, who's played by Michael Hall.
Yeah.
And that part was originally played by Bowie in the movie. Yeah, I think that she was a figment of his imagination and also a real girl.
Yeah.
I think you can decide. You can decide. And in the original production, there was a scene that gave a little bit more exposition to her story.
Can you tell us what it was?
Yes, I'll tell you. I will tell you. It was an interactive scene with a video wall, and Alan Cumming did the part opposite me. So it was like a pre-recorded video of him that I would sort of interact with every night. And I sort of wake up from this dream, and and I interact with him, and he tells me what happened to me, because the girl enters, she knows nothing about herself. All she knows in her head is that she's there to help Newton. And so towards the end, she learns like what happened to her, which was that she was, in strange wording, cut down a mile from my house, I think was the line, meaning I was killed, like I was killed on the road or whatever. So even like the language that Enda like used throughout it kind of like left this not, I don't want to call it vague because it wasn't, it was specific, but it was, you can read it in any different direction, you know. Yeah.
She interacts with these other characters who are not named. At one point, she confers with them, and they tell her what her responsibilities are with Newton. And these other characters, they sing, and at the climactic scene, one of them, you know, I think we're going to have to give some spoilers away.
Yeah, of course.
But, so girl dies again.
I die and I die again.
Yeah.
And then I come back to life.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
I think that, well, that's, you know, that's the imagination thing too. I think there's no rules in the land of Lazarus. Yeah. There was never rules of like, you know, what's realistic. I think at one point I entered from the fridge. Like I exited in one time, and then the next entrance that I made, I entered from like the refrigerator on stage. So there was this kind of like dream logic to all of it.
So what's in the refrigerator? There's only one thing in the refrigerator.
Gin.
Yeah.
Gin.
So does that scene suggest
and milk?
Okay, we're gonna get back to that.
And the milk, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna bounce a thought off of you.
Sure.
I didn't get, so I'm gonna tell you a silly story. So I read that the play was gonna open in New York. I lived in Albany, which is, you know, a little bit up the road. Uh-huh. And I planned to see it, but I thought this is gonna run for a while. I'll get around to seeing it.
Right.
And then he died, and I believe every show was sold out.
Oh yeah, it was really hard to get a ticket to in general.
Yeah.
Even before that, I think we always had a limited run in New York, at New York Theater Workshop, but and it sold out for obvious reasons, you know. But yes, once David died, I think there was a crazy demand, and people were, you know, it was packed, and the energy was just crazy from the audiences.
So I didn't see it for years until I saw a video of it from the London performance.
Yes, did you see the like live recorded version?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you about that too. Mm-hmm. But why am I telling you this? So I watched it twice, and I couldn't help but think that this was a play built around the themes of the song Sound and Vision, which is the only song where we hear Bowie sing. Mm-hmm. So you look skeptical, but
oh no, I was just thinking. I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah. And
that song, for me, this is such an intense song. I realized this was actually all sidebar with it, because in New York, when we were doing the run of the show, I was having these nightmares. I started having these nightmares, and I realized that it was because I was listening to that song before bed. And in the show, there's a very violent scene that happens to that song.
Yes.
And it was affecting me in my sleep, and I was having these sort of repeated nightmares that one of my co-stars was murdering me. But I love Mike Glusper. He's great, and obviously would never do such a thing. But it's funny that you bring that song up, because every time I listen to it, it has like a sort of strange weight to it.
Yeah.
But I find it to be a very energetic song. I think it's lively.
So there's, you know, the song Blue, Blue, Electric Blue, that's the color of my room, where I shall be.
I will live. Yeah.
and he's waiting for sound and vision, the narrator of the song. And this is from Low, which was the first of the Berlin trilogy, and at least the mythology around it was David Bowie and Iggy Pop go to Berlin to try to sort of calm their life down a little bit.
And, well, that's a crazy place to try and calm your life down.
Yeah, so he would later say he left Los Angeles, the cocaine capital of the world, for Berlin, the heroin capital of the world. But, you know, the milk, right? So there's a documentary, I'm doing too much talking. There's a documentary about Bowie from a couple years before called Crack Actor, where he's at the depth of his addiction, and his whole diet is milk and peppers. And
oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so what happens? So he goes and he kind of kills off his past. And Bowie is famous for killing characters. And I'm watching this play and I'm thinking, you're not a ghost, you're not a hallucination, you're a character. And this character of Thomas Newton is sitting there in his room waiting for sound and vision. And the act of killing your character unleashes him. And what does he do? He goes back into space.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's I'm with you. I think there's totally some truth in that, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting, like playing the part and also looking at it from an audience's perspective or an outside perspective, because I think when I play a role, I'm in that truth and I'm not looking from the outside in at it so much. In my experience of that role was interesting because I like to think that I'm kind of like a soul-bearing actor, and like I put a lot of humanity into. That's my goal, you know, is to make something as like human and raw and as honest as possible. But because Girl, her real name Marley, was sort of this, she's somewhere between object and person. She's somewhere between idea and real, which is something I can relate to, like as a woman, and certainly as like, you know, a girl. I think it felt so honest to me, which is a weird thing to say about playing an idea or playing a dead girl. It's a weird thing to say, like I relate, but I did, and so like when I played it, I was definitely not trying to interpret any kind of lore or like subliminal messagings that I assumed. I was really reading everything as honestly as I could, and I think that, you know, the story of how I got the job is crazy.
Well, tell us that story.
Well, I was 13, and they did not want to see minors for the part. They wanted to see people older than 18 for the part. I couldn't get an audition. My agent at the time couldn't get me an audition. I have different agents now. Much respect to all, though. And I was so frustrated by this. I was like, well, I deserve a shot, you know? And I wasn't, you know, my career was just blossoming, so I wasn't famous or anything like that, and I didn't have, you know, the pull to get that audition. So I went to an open call, like one of the mandatory open calls that they have to have. And they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, listen, you know, like I'm shooting my shot. And I scored myself a final callback with Henry and Evo. And the day of my audition, I got a call saying, if you can be here in the next 10 minutes, David's here, and he wants to hear you sing. He wasn't supposed to be at my audition, my callback. And anyways, I did, and it was great. But all of this to say,
your schedule, right?
Huh?
You had to check your schedule.
Oh, no, I got off of the bus. I got off of my bus like at the end of the Lincoln Tunnel, and I sprinted. And I was just a kid, you know. I was like a, you know, a city kid. Anyway, I ran there and I got the job. But the point is, I was young. I was 13. I think I got the job on my 14th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like I was never naive. I was never like a naive young girl. I was smart. But I think that like the youthfulness that I brought ultimately, from my perspective at least, maybe Henry or Eva would say something different, is like what I brought to the part. So they weren't, initially willing to see people older than 18, but I think that I brought my youth to it, and I brought honesty, and I brought not trying to interpret or like play some mystical thing. It was just honest. This is my take on the part. This is how. This is the character. This is the person. This is the human. Not just the idea. So I think that I balanced that, and that came with the youth. So that's what I mean with she's somewhere between object, idea, and living.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been. I remember the first time I read the script, I was like, wow, like what funky character. But I was like, no, I got to keep this. I got to keep it real. I have to keep it grounded. And also the other actors, Michael and Kristen. I mean, you look at that and you're like, no, these are real actors. We're not like putting on a show here. We're not mystifying and camping this up. It's honest.
I wanted to ask about that. You're 13 and you had some acting credits.
Yeah.
But you're acting alongside these other people that are older than you that have had, your lifetime worth of acting credits. But it doesn't seem like, a child actor, right? I mean, you're going toe to toe with them.
Yeah.
How do you, do you prepare differently for a role now than you did then?
Depends. It depends on the role. I think that one, I was certainly nervous. I mean, I was nervous, but I was also confident, in what I was doing. I think I kind of strive to be as like honest and free as I was. I think that I love working with like younger actors, child actors, who are just like not thinking about what it looks like. Like they're just being free and expressive and making choices, and like there's a sort of like freedom in being a young actor who's not like aware of everything yet, that like I kind of strive for. So I try to prepare in the way that I did then. I remember I didn't know that on the basically like the first day of rehearsal, Eva likes to put people in like costumes and like be testing out ideas. And my first costume was a nude leotard. And I remember being a 14-year-old girl being like, okay, like you're in this room with these people that you respect, and they're so talented, and you already have this feeling of, kind of having something to prove because you're young. And then you put yourself in a new leotard. I was so exposed. I think I've never been more like exposed in a process before, and not at all in a bad way, and in a good way. Like I think it forced me to make interesting choices. Like the world became what it was because of some of the discomfort maybe that I had. It actually like kind of gave me freedom in a way. I don't know.
There's some questions I wanted to ask you, but you're saying things that are inspiring new questions. You have mentioned many times expressing a sense of freedom, and as we've been talking today, and I've heard you elsewhere talk about your emotional expression, and even when I was asking you what is Lazarus about, you said it's something different every night. All of this is happening in a structure. You have to say the same lines, you're being directed, you're in a finite amount of space.
Yeah.
And you're finding freedom in a setting that's really actually constrained.
Yes.
How is that?
That's a really awesome question. There's definitely expectancy sometimes of like consistency, which I have, like I have a consistency in performance. I'm not going haywire and changing my blocking and messing up the lighting and changing the whole song around. I'm not doing anything like that. So I am being completely free within that structure. I think the structure gives it sort of freedom to play. Yeah, I like to spice things up sometimes. I really believe in like being present, and like I think as an artist it's confusing and backwards to me to assume that every performance every night is going to be and mean the same thing.
Yeah.
That's always been something that I've been like, huh? Because it's like in the context of me. It's in the context of now. I bring myself to the work that I do, and that's magic, So I think that sure, on any given day, I might, interpret a line differently. That's what makes me human. That's why AI cannot do what I do, Like sure, you can have an AI actor or whatever, but the humanity of the day that I live today, that I might bring to a performance tonight versus on a different night, is not something that can replicate. And that's being an artist. That's being an artist, being present, being expressive in the present, in the context of what you have now. So that's why I'm like, well, every night different in context, and every person in the context of their lives and their experience is going to interpret a show differently, or interpret my character or the meaning of something differently. And I really think that that's how art is meant to be.
Yeah.
I do.
You mentioned AI. You're saying this in the context of a couple of weeks ago, there was a story about an AI actress getting assigned. I mean, it didn't even make sense.
Well, correct.
Right?
Correct. I felt very stupid when I first read it because I was like, what? Why don't I understand this? Why is this not computing for me? I was like, oh, because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like, did Bugs Bunny sign a contract? But
well, it's a weird thing to give a robot agency.
Yeah.
As if their name is going on the dotted line.
Yeah.
It's not. It is the creator of this person, which is, could be a corporation, and that is not a human. Conversation for another time. And also, it's people are talking about it, but it's almost not even worth it. I'm like, come on now.
So it really is a conversation I like to have. But let's come back to Lazarus. So you're prepping for the role. You're 13 or 14, and how much did you already know about Bowie? Before we started filming, we were talking a little bit about the lyrics, and how familiar were you with some of the lyrics of his songs before you started preparing for the role?
I was very familiar. I grew up listening to so much music, and I also grew up listening to Bowie. I mean, I was a fan. I still am. Like, the amount of time that I had to work with him was, small. And so when I think about it, I still see myself as a fan.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't run around calling myself like some great collaborator of his. I mean, sure, I'm not gonna sell myself short, but also, I am a fan.
Yeah.
I am a fan, and I have my connection to his music and legacy and what he means to me is also in the context of being a fan. And after he died too, those songs, some of his music really like got me through some of like the hardest times of my life. So I am a fan at the end of the day. So
you said you don't consider yourself a great collaborator, but how much did you actually work with him in preparing for the play?
So David was in rehearsals a little bit, but not every day.
Yeah.
So, and I was also nervous. I mean, looking back now, I think if I was doing it now, I think I probably would have had more confidence to go up to him and talk to him. I think I was a little shy, but he was in rehearsals with us, and he was there throughout the development of the show, and his input, was there. But yeah, I yeah.
Not to get a little spacey, but there will become a point that you will be the last person still alive who worked with David Bowie.
Well, I suppose that depends on when I die.
Well, that's true, but it's like Rita Moreno is still acting, and she's around 94.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're 94, it's going to be around the turn of the century, and no one else will have worked with David Bowie or even seen him.
Yeah. I mean, assuming that I live a long, healthy life and still have my faculties to recall these memories. I mean, even now, it's like this was 10 years ago. So recalling is, I kind of have poor memory in general, but I try to remember these things. I write them down. I have, what I meant to bring was my journal from the show, because I was a furious note taker, and I had very particular handwriting.
Don't lose that journal.
Doing things. Yeah, no, I have notes in there that were like from him.
How can you have a bad memory? You have to memorize lines.
I think that's why I have a bad memory, is because I'm always memorizing lines and I forget everything else. My brain is too full. Yeah, I have notes in there that were like from him. Seems like I remember one day, like, one day I was doing Life on Mars, and he was there. I remember being really nervous. And
so you were nervous singing Life on Mars in front of David Bowie. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Why?
I was. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I had this kind of confidence to me too, though. I think the nervousness was not like a fear.
Yeah.
It was like a respect. It wasn't like a fear of failure. It was just a excitement more than anything. Probably it was just unbelievable. But I think his note to me was like just to like let the song soar, to go for the big note and just like let it rip, you know. I'm sure I haven't written down exactly what the note was, but and I remember, coming into rehearsal every day, and we had these mugs that they gave us, like just random mugs, but they put like name stickers on them, and coming in and like seeing the drying rack, and it, had like Sophia Caruso and Henry Hay and Michael Hall and like David Bowie, it's stuff like that. I remember things like that sometimes, and it just makes me smile. Like, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It
is very cool.
It's pretty cool. Yes.
So your character comes onto the stage sort of as this almost angelic figure bathed in light, and your hair is blonde, and you're wearing this white sort of nightgown almost, and you're singing, of all songs, This Is Not America. First of all, why? Secondly, it's one of two songs we mentioned Absolute Beginners, in the play that were originally created for a different movie. So how did that make sense to you?
I made sense of these songs in the way that I would break down a monologue is how I looked at the songs. So I never really looked at the songs as what hidden message am I trying to tell? It was never that. It was like, blossom fails to bloom this season, promise not to stare too long. What does that mean?
Yeah.
In the context of this character. When you first meet her, this is when she first meets herself. She doesn't know who she is. She's confused. And I was confused by the song when I first listened to it. That's honest. So there was some confusion to it. There was like a strange understanding. Okay, this man, I know, I have this deep knowing, this, I have something to do with him, something to do with his mind and his hope. So I was playing, sure, some some like abstract kind of ideas. But each lyric I sort of went through and dissected what it meant in the context of my character. And it was the same thing with Life on Mars, which was a trickier one to crack, I think, for me, in terms of what it meant in the context of my character, especially because it's a song to Newton.
Yeah. So I have a thought about this, but I want to hear yours. The songs, there's I think 4 songs that were original to the play, including Lazarus, the song itself.
Yep.
But most of the other songs were part of Bowie's back catalog, and so they were not originally intended for the purpose that they're being used in the play. And it's not like so much of what David Bowie did. It's not a linear, descriptive context, right? So, this is not America. The scene has nothing to do with America, I don't think, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
So it's.
I think she's like, this is not America. There's like a mystery in it. Where am I?
Where am I? Yeah.
Where am I? This is not America. But America to her could mean, whatever planet she's from.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
So in a broader sense, what is the function that the songs are playing in the play?
The function that the songs are playing in the play. Oh, I mean, I suppose I never saw anything in this play as like function. Like there are plays that are functional, and sometimes I'll read a character and I'm like, right, the function of this character in this play is to do this and operate this way and like do this thing, or this monologue gets us to this next place. But I think that the songs in the context of it, I think it was abstract. I don't have an answer for you on that one, because I think that have you just read the play in front of you?
No.
Without, I'd recommend doing that.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you'll kind of be like, what? I remember the first time I was like, what? And then it's the job of like the actors to insert meaning, insert sort of personal meaning and journey, and that's what we follow. So I think I don't really look at songs in the context of like function of the play. I just, as an actor, I'm deciding on a journey, deciding on a personal journey, and that kind of carries a story and carries the story. There wasn't anything super functional about this show.
Yeah.
It was definitely not structurally conventional.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer.
Yeah. What's going through your mind when you're acting in any play, but in this you mentioned that every night it's sort of something different, but you're using the same lines. So when you're speaking or when you're singing, what are you actually thinking?
I suppose it depends on the song or what, but I think there's this sort of like channeling that I've been talking about recently with acting and performing in general and singing too. I think, like I was telling you, I'm a very spiritual person. I think that there's a channeling that happens. There's a it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not about it's I'm bringing like life and humanity and myself to something, but it's also not about me. So I don't like it when performances become this sort of like indulgent self-expression, specifically with acting or when I'm playing, a part and I have something to fill. I think it's like it's a channeling. So it's almost like I leave in a way. Like my heart and my spirit is there, but like my mind is not thinking about okay, time to walk over here. That's why doing a commercial musical is very challenging, because there's technical elements that your brain has to think about. But when I'm acting, or when I'm really like present in a part and like doing the work that I think is best for me, I think it's a channeling that happens. And in order for that to happen, my thinking brain and my wheels turning actor brain, this like performing of a character thing, that goes away. I'm not performing a character, I'm channeling an energy, I'm channeling a spirit. And I think that that's something, that's how I act, that's how I make art. It's like a channeling of spirit. And I think that happened a lot in that show.
Does that stay with you after the play is done? Like when you go home or you're going out, are you still girl, or does that switch on and off? Marley.
Well, girl is in me.
Yeah.
You know, like girl is me.
Yeah.
But she's not my thinking brain.
Yeah.
Like any character, like anything I'm channeling, it is something within me. There's this quote, I think it's Leonora Cunningham. She says, maybe, might be somebody else. I am not one and simple, but complex and many.
Yeah.
And I am complex and many inside. I'm not just Sophia. Like I am Sophia, and I am Marley, and I am Lydia, and I am all of this exists inside of me. So it's a matter of channeling it and like extracting it to its purest form, and then that's the channeling of like what a character is. So it's not like I'm in character, I'm like a method actor. It's not that. It's just in me. It's channeling, and so it does stay with me because it's just in me. It's a part of me, but it's not all of me.
Is this your experience with Lazarus? Is it more unavoidable than some of the other work that you've done in the 10 years since? And especially in Manhattan, I feel like you can't walk 2 blocks without seeing David Bowie's face on something.
Yeah, I think it totally stays with me.
Yeah.
You know, like the experience of it is with me, but it's also this moment in time too. You know, that I like to keep there. It's not something that I dwell with or cling to. It's just something that happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not something that I cling on to. But it is all around. I see it all around, or I see things that like maybe feel symbolic to me, or yeah, it's with me. The past is with me today.
It's you know, you mentioned Lydia was from Beetlejuice, and we're in the Museum of Broadway, where there's a Beetlejuice display, right? If you come and visit, you could see you. Yeah. And Lazarus, there are books written about Lazarus. It's become part of the mythology and the legacy of Bowie, right? And are you drawn to that, or do you try to stay away from that? You know, there's a book that comes out that's about the last works of David Bowie, and there's a lot in there about Lazarus. Is that of interest to you, or do you sort of move on to the next thing?
It's not of particular interest to me, just because I have my own personal experience in. I don't like to mystify that experience because it was real to me.
Yeah.
So making something mystified by kind of like reading somebody else's like projection of what they think is a little bit it doesn't interest me as much. You know, like the memories that I have exist as what they are, and I don't need to put a layer of more context over it. Like I have the context. I know what happened. I knew what it all was. Yeah. So I like to kind of keep grip on those memories as what they were versus sort of what people think that they were.
Yeah.
And similar to what I was saying, you know, when I first got here about rock stars being sort of, you know, they are people. They were real people, not just myth, not just mystical, not just these ideas and concepts in art. He was a human being beyond just the incredible artist he was, just living every day of his life as an artist, But he was a work of art, but he was also a person. That's a sort of relatable thing to a woman, There's like this sort of objectifying that happens of somebody. I think it happens with rock stars. I think it happens with women. But yeah, I like to keep it very human and very raw in my memory.
I almost feel like this next question is sort of cheap after that answer, but
Go ahead.
10th anniversary. I will say I think Lazarus was part of his send-off, right? Along with Blackstar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Well, let me ask it this way. There's the lyric of the song Blackstar. Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. What's happened in the last 10 years in terms of how we appreciate Bowie, or even what you think of Bowie? And you just were talking about him as a human, and then now I'm really talking about more his legacy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, every January, people still, on the day, there's still there's a collective consciousness. Yeah. There's a heaviness there that I feel.
Yeah.
I can feel the collective conscious mourning and weight of that day and what that meant. The context of him now, to me, like I was saying, I keep all of those memories very as they were. And I told you that I knew and was a fan of Bowie before I did the project. That's why I fought so hard to be a part of it. But I was also so young, and so when I was a teenager, then after the fact, and I was going through changes.
Yeah.
He did take a new context for me. There was new context there, and I found so much comfort in it. Yes. So over the last 10 years, my experience of him, it has only added to my fandom, and also as this sort of confidence. There's I can even channel a little bit of his energy, maybe.
What does that look like?
Like when you came to see the show last year at the Cutting Room, and
the Sound and Vision of David Bowie.
The Sound and Vision of David Bowie.
Wonderful, amazing concert.
Yeah. And I got to sing Rock and Roll Suicide.
Yeah.
And that is one of those meaningful songs to me. I love that song. That song picks me up off the floor. That song reminds me that I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
Even when I am crying on the floor.
Yeah.
It reminds me that I'm not alone. That singing that song, listening to that song, there's a channeling that happens. It's elemental.
That song is so important in the larger context. He wrote more than 400 songs. I don't know that there's another one that's as explicit with the message, you're not alone. But in context, all the other songs about isolation or distance or difference, it has a different meaning with that song as part of the context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Time takes a cigarette, puts it in your mouth. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a lullaby, actually. Like singing it, sure, it's to, when you're performing it, it is to your listener, but it is also to oneself. Yeah. You're not alone. Like that's a sort of almost like a mantra. And also when I'm feeling down, because no one is immune.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling down and when I'm feeling like, not there, I remind myself of that.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And I have this great pin that I didn't bring today because I'm terrified of losing it. But he gave me, and it's a gold rocket. And that, I look at that sometimes and I think about that song, and I'm reminded like that he chose me to do that. And I am enough. I am not alone. I am alive and I'm here. And I just think that song is very meaningful to me, and the context that had for me as a teenager was really important. And to have this sort of, token from him that I could look at and remind myself. And I also think that consciousness exists in objects, and I've got all sorts of ideas, but there's like a channeling, there's an energy to all of it that is still very alive, even though he is not with us anymore. Those songs, sound, music is summoning. It is a summoning of energy. It raises, the frequency of people. It changes the energy of a room. I think it's really spiritual. And by gathering every, year, that Henry puts that together, it is a summoning, it is a channeling, it is a room of people who are all there for the same purpose and the same channeling.
I'm thinking of the Galen Dorsey, and
she's amazing.
She's singing, I think it was Blackstar, with Donnie McCaslin playing sax, and at one point she just kneels in front of him while he's just summoning demons with his saxophone, and
summoning angels
or something, right? Yes, you're right, I'm wrong, but
or demons. Exorcising demons, summoning angels.
Spiritual moment, right? I mean, it's like
it was. I was thinking of that exact moment right as I was getting here, because I was listening to Blackstar on the way. Just to kind of get in the mood, to channel the energy, and gosh, hearing him do that live was just next level. I mean, wow. And I'm a fan, but I'm also a critic. But I mean, speechless. I'm rarely left like speechless by somebody's like gift. But what a gift! What a gift is Donnie McCaslin on that saxophone.
Well, I mean, not to get way off topic, and I'm keeping you here, and you've been so great with
no, I have no plans.
Well, you sing No Plan.
I do. I also sing No Plan, but I set aside my day for this. When you open the jar of this, it's like I could go for hours.
Okay, well then I will take advantage of that. So I
take advantage.
Apologize to you in advance. So, all I am is a fan. I don't sing. I don't act. And this project, I'm talking to you, right? Why? Because I asked. And I've been able to talk with people that work with Bowie, including Donnie McCaslin's been on my show twice. And he was just on to correspond with the release of his new album. And you were talking about how the spirit continues. Well, Blackstar isn't just a Bowie album, it's a Donnie McCaslin album. And that, the musical part of that is alive in what he's producing. And I, in the context of your performance at that concert that I saw in the beginning of 2025, the Sound and Vision of David Bowie, where I said this to you before we started filming, you were performing it. You weren't just singing. You weren't standing there in front of the mic and just singing. You're performing it.
I was channeling.
You were channeling, right. And I remember your hair flying all over, and I remember when you were doing Rock and Roll Suicide, where I it's a funny thing, we're talking about memory. It's less the visual memory and more how I felt. And I felt there was a point of like collapse and rising just in your performance. And that's in part a testament to you, it's in part a testament to the song, but it's also in part a testament to just the power of music. And there's no question there, but
the power of music. It is like such a summoning. I have to I love to perform barefoot, and in Lazarus I was barefoot during the show,
I did not notice that.
But there's something so grounding about it. Like I like to sing barefoot. It's just the way I am. But I decided last year that I was going to wear like a 6-inch heel for this show. And when it came to Rock and Roll Story, I was like, I have to take these off every night. I took them off because I had to like plant myself to do it, because like I was so channeling that like I would be unstable and fall over just by the power of like feeling within me.
Yeah.
And I knew that I just unfortunately could not stand and do that song in a 6-inch heel. So that's also a testament to the power of music. It genuinely shakes me up so much that I can't stand straight.
Yeah.
And sure, my hair is probably flying all over. Like I'm just it's just complete channeling and expression. But what you were saying about it being a Donny McCassin record too, and the living on of this through others' music. I think that's so true. I mean, David influences me every day as an artist,
How?
I think his fearlessness, his storytelling, all of it, everything. It's that respect is ingrained to me. I aspire to be an artist as expressive and unlimited by standard or convention. It's not my interest to like make work that is targeted for anything other than honesty and expression, and he did that. He did just that.
What did he tell you directly?
Oh my gosh. Let me think. 10 years ago, did he tell me directly? Is that what you're just talking about? Like the memory, you don't remember exactly the thing, but you remember the feeling.
Well, what did you take from what he like?
Just that he was still a person. Like I remember he was wearing like Vans, I think, one day in rehearsal, and it's like in your head you think David Bowie like must be extravagant, or like this walking sort of alien creature. No, like he was a person. So I remember the way that I felt, and I remember in my audition with him, I was so nervous, and he put me at ease. He had a very I'd sprinted all the way. I was sweating, and I was out of breath. And then when you're nervous and you're out of breath, and then you're starting to give yourself anxiety, and then you have to sing, and then that's really hard to do when your body is not with you. But his presence was much more peaceful than one might think. It was much more calm.